Hey, everybody, what's going on, man? It's your man, Big B, Brian Hanley. Welcome to Steelers Almighty. Appreciate everybody showing up this morning. Part of our new package during the off season, switching up the lives between morning and afternoon. Thursday, we're doing morning, so appreciate everybody being in here. As always, man, we got a lot to talk about today. First, Mike Tomlin and his predictability on defense, just the bland defense that Mike Tomlin continuously puts out there week to week. And it's not just us as Steeler fans saying it. We've got other people out there that have faced the Steelers that are coming to the forefront now. Maybe that'll make a change. I don't know. Hopefully. We're going to take a look at a possible free agent targets for the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. And then also, what does a 2025 roster, what could that look like with the Pittsburgh Steelers? So we're going to cover all of that and more. So appreciate everybody being in here. As always, remember, like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff if you haven't already. Also, memberships are available, people. We have 5 different tier of membership levels. The content is crazy. The higher you go, the more access and content that you guys receive. So make sure that you guys sign up to be a member of Steelers Almighty. If you were wondering, Steelers Almighty, still the fastest growing Steelers channel on YouTube. So just throwing that out there for you guys to understand what you guys are a part of, man. So I appreciate all the love and support that you guys have shown us. Let's get into this. So first things first, Mike Tomlin, his predictability on offense, or excuse me, on defense has been something that a lot of us Steeler fans have said over the years has got to change. I think most Steeler fans understand that Mike Tomlin is the guy that runs the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. He runs the entire organization, by the way. But as far as the defense, his thumb, hand, both hands, both feet, it is Mike Tomlin's defense. He runs that, okay? Terrell Austin is the defensive coordinator in name alone. This is not something that he's a part of. Or should I say is running per se. He's a part of it. It's not something that he is running. And I think we all kind of recognize that. But Mike Tomlin, the difference is that it's so bland. It's like there's no creativity. And I think as the season goes on, teams figure all that stuff out. They're just like, look, we know TJ Watt's going to be on the left side. He's never going to twist. He's never going to stunt. If there's 100 pass reps, 2 of them, he might drop into coverage. But other than that, this is where he's going to rush. We're not going to run any twists. We're not going to run any slants. We're not going to play any games. We're not going to run any exotic blitzes. We're just going to line up, and we expect our guys to beat their guys. Okay, that's fine, but that doesn't work in today's NFL. I mean, people aren't trying to trick you because that doesn't work. I mean, the players are just too good. And once teams figure all that stuff out, they just come up with ways. And this year, it was easy. It was said, okay, we're going to chip TJ Watt. We're going to put a tight end over there, and we're going to chip him every single time we are trying to pass the football. On the other side, we're going to line a running back. And we're going to put a running back on the other side to help chip with Alex Highsmith. And then we'll double team Cam Hayward when we can. And then we'll one-on-one block whoever else you have. Whether it's Keanu Benton, Larry Ogunjobi, Loudermilk, whoever you have over there, Montravius Adams, we'll just single block them because they can't beat us. And then we'll go from there and see what happens. And that's basically what happened near the end of the year. Now, TJ Watt was banged up. There's no doubt about that. There is zero doubt about TJ Watt being banged up. But the defense was just plain bland. That's it. And teams figure it out. And if we don't change, and we never change, it was like, okay, guys are going to be Minkah Fitzpatrick lined up at free safety. You didn't bring him down in the box. You didn't blitz him on occasion. You didn't move him around. Cornerbacks didn't go and chase receivers. Like, I understand, and I'm the first person to scream that Joey Porter Jr. is not a lockdown, shutdown corner. However, I think he's good enough to follow certain receivers around, and we never did that. It's just, this is where we line up. This is what we're doing. Hell, even against Baltimore, they didn't even line up and match personnel groups. Baltimore coming out in jumbo, we're out in the nickel. I'm like, there was 11 snaps where Baltimore came out in 23 personnel. And 23 personnel, for everybody to know, 2 backs, 3 tight ends. 11 times in that game, the Steelers were in the nickel, and Baltimore is in 23 personnel. I mean, like, it was incredible. Just incredible. And so Mike Tomlin and what he does and what he's doing, I'm just like, come on, man. You got to mix stuff up. And look, I'll be the first person to tell you that Mike Tomlin has never been an X's and O's guy. He's never been that, okay, he's going to have the greatest X's and O's. But the one, and you can be the biggest Tomlin hater that you want to be. The one thing you can't say about Mike Tomlin is that he's stupid. Stubborn, yes. Stupid, no. And Mike Tomlin just being stubborn at this is now starting to cost us. Let me read you this quote. Now, people have said this all over the place, but I don't think anybody really took it seriously. But here's a quote from Julian Edelman 2 days ago talking about Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers. He said, you knew exactly what they were doing. Okay? And they still do that today. You knew what they were doing. They did it. And they still do the same stuff today. He's like, we still have linebackers covering the 3 slot. And he's like, we still have linebackers covering the 3 slot. Every time we play the Steelers, I'd have at least 9 catches. Now, he's going overboard with that. But Julian Edelman 8 on the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, I just, it's crazy. First super chat, we appreciate you, Mr. Nightmare. He said, I hope we sign the Jets free agent corner. Need that man, DJ Reed. We're going to get to that, and I don't think DJ Reed is a bad pick at all. I really don't. He's not an interception guy. He's more of a pass breaker-upper, but he's a cover guy, something the Steelers need, something that they need. So that's the thing about it. Julian Edelman is telling you, hey, man, they lied. We knew what they were doing, and they just did it. They didn't try to change it up. They didn't mix anything up. Again, still having a linebacker trying to cover the slot. Now, the Steelers don't do a lot of that now because 58% of the snaps, they were in the nickel defense this year. So they had an extra DB out there, and they took a linebacker off the field. Okay, fine. But they didn't really take a linebacker off the field. They took a defensive lineman off the field. So kind of the same difference we see, but I don't know. Again, it was just bland defense. No trickeration, no imagination, no anything. Just, this is what we're doing, and that's it. And I don't think you can play that way in the NFL now. The offenses are too descriptive. The schematics are just, they're next level. And you have to be able to match that next level in Pittsburgh. You have to be able to do some of the stuff that they do. And we just don't do that. We don't do that near enough. You know, we don't do it near enough. And like I said, I'm not the Mike Tomlin basher because that just, it doesn't serve any purpose to just continuously bash and bash and bash when you know this guy's going to be the head coach. So be solution oriented, not just complaining. And I try to pride myself on not just constantly complaining and never trying to talk to you guys about giving a solution, because that doesn't do anybody any good, just constantly whining about it, especially when I know it's not going to change. You know, before we knew that Tomlin was coming back, then you could have those conversations. But now that we know he's coming back, Art Rooney II has basically told you he's very comfortable with Mike Tomlin. Well, if he's comfortable, Mike Tomlin's not going anywhere, man. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. So we just got to deal with it and try to make it work. So hopefully we can. Hopefully we can. So, yes, Steelers Lee says it's embarrassing when teams call the Steelers out for being predictable. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You know, calling us soft. I mean, anytime if you beat somebody, they can call you soft. I mean, they can do that whenever they want. But talking about predictability, saying we know exactly what they're going to do and they do it. We just got to line up and execute and do our stuff, and we can beat it. It's almost like teams are saying, hey, this is what the Steelers are going to do. We're going to prepare to attack that, and the Steelers are never going to adjust. They don't adjust to what we're going to do. And my thinking is, it's the truth, because how many times have we seen the Steelers get off the slow starts? I mean, how many times? And then Mike Tom, they interview him at halftime, and he's talking, well, we gotta make adjustments. We didn't come out and weren't prepared at the beginning of the game. We didn't match their energy. Well, hell, because you did exactly what they knew you were going to do. And then they were prepared for that. So Jason said at least the last 30 games. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Is like they knew what we were going to do. They attacked it, and we waited till halftime to make an adjustment. I could go on, but I don't see what the purpose of that would serve. It is just, like I said, I don't want to be the guy that just constantly bashes Tomlin and bashes him, because he's going to be the coach. I love the Pittsburgh Steelers. I want to win. And constantly bashing him, saying he needs to go, he needs to be fired, when I know that's not happening, doesn't do anybody any good. Like, why waste energy on something that isn't going to happen? Let's talk about what could happen and go from there. That's all. I'm not mad at people that constantly bash Tomlin. I'm just saying sometimes you got to change your narrative and talk about something else. That's all. Because I get it. You're not wrong. But if it isn't going to change anything, we got to come off of it. But this is a problem, though. Let's not act like this is not a problem, man. It's a problem. Mike Tomlin's got to do things in a better capacity for the Steelers to be better. So, my man Adam, thank you for the super chat, Adam. We appreciate you. Always an LB on a wide receiver. We've seen it a ton. Got a new subscriber, man. Thank you, Mark. We appreciate you. Thank you for supporting the channel. So, and again, just as a reminder, anybody that wants their question or rant put up on the screen, super chats are wide open. If you help to support the channel that way, we absolutely appreciate you. Along with memberships, they are available. The content is flowing. You guys are going to love exactly what is on the membership side of things. But yeah, that's Mike Tomlin. It is what it is, man. Like I said, we could go on all day, all night about how bland this is, but I just thought I'd bring this to you because it's not just us Steeler fans out there saying it. We got a guy, Julian Edelman. Maybe he made a living on torching the Steelers because he's like, they're going to line up and have a linebacker covering me. Let's eat. And he did. He did. And it isn't just him talking about it. It's him actually doing it. He had 34 catches in 6 regular season games against Pittsburgh for 341 yards. So in 2016 and 17 AFC Championship games, he had 118 yards on 8 catches and a touchdown. He also had 9 catches for 60 yards in the regular season that year and 7 catches for 90 yards for 208 in 2018. So, and he also had 11 catches for 97 yards in week 1 of 2015. So this is a guy that was torching the Steelers and telling you this is what they did, and they still do that today. And this is 2000. Let's just go to the latest, 2017. And we're still doing the same stuff? Come on, man. Oh, I don't know. It is what it is. But let's move on. Let's move on. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, um, look, we've got some free agents that obviously we've got to start targeting and we've got to look at. So let's look at potential free agents based on the position and where the Steelers actually may be. What free agents are we going to look at based on the position? So I've got this. Let's break it down here. I've got this little graph that I'm going to bring up for you guys. And let's see the free agents. So let's start at quarterback. At quarterback, there's Sam Darnold. Okay. Do we want to go out and pay Sam Darnold? Possibly. But it's not just Sam Darnold. Do we want a Zach Wilson, a Trey Lance, a Jacoby Brissett? I mean, the free agent market for quarterbacks is not what you would call, man, we got to run out and sign that guy. Like, where would you, like, I wouldn't mind having Drew Lock as a backup. Maybe even a Marcus Mariota as a backup. But I don't want those guys as my starter. Jameis Winston, Joe Flacco, Mac Jones, Carson Wentz. Mason Rudolph. Look, I know everybody's screaming, oh, Mason Rudolph was great. Mason Rudolph, again, had his opportunity to do something in Tennessee. And you could say Tennessee, the organization, is garbage. But he had an opportunity to win the job, and he didn't. And then when he did get the job, he had an opportunity to play well, and he didn't. Mason Rudolph is a backup, and a good one, but he's a backup. So Teddy Bridgewater, by the way, I think has two of the best jobs in America. He coaches at his alma mater, coaching high school football. He does that. And then once that season is over and they win a state championship, he can go sign and be the backup quarterback in Detroit in December. I don't know how it gets better than that, bro. Seriously, like, how does it get better? So I would love the simple fact if I was Teddy Bridgewater, but Teddy Bridgewater is not going to come here. I wouldn't mind him even being the Steelers starter, but he ain't giving that up. There's no reason to give that up. Absolutely no reason. So my man, Justin Watson, we appreciate you joining us, Justin. He said Darnold was 21st in EPA game. Fields was 20th and Russ was 22nd. Darnold and Russ, exactly, are way too expensive. My whole thing about Darnold is we saw when the games got tight at the end of the year, when they had to have it, Darnold reverted back to his previous form. And that was with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. A good offensive line. That's all I'm going to tell you. Everybody's screaming for Darnold. When the games got tight, that's all I needed to see, man. I'm like, no, I'm not trying to pay Sam Darnold that kind of money. I'm not trying to do it. So I'm not trying to do it. So my man Jason Adkins says we got $53 million in cap space. We need to use it right. Not only do we have $53 million, it can get up even higher because they're going to extend TJ Watt and they're going to get rid of Preston Smith. That right there gives you another 20. The Steelers are going to have a ton of cap space, a ton of it. So let's move on. Let's look at a different position. Now, the running back, you thought quarterback was bad. The running back position, as far as free agents, is worse. And look at it. We have Najee. I don't think there's a whole lot of people that are in we got to re-sign Najee. Not to mention, if you bring up market value here, look at his market value. Are we really going to extend him 3 years at $9 million a year? I don't think the Steelers are going to do that, people. I'm sorry. And better yet, I'll just ask you, do you want to do that? Do you want to give Najee three more years at over $9 million a year? I'll just speak for me, and that answer is hell no. And it isn't because I hate Najee. I don't hate him. But if we're going to pay that kind of money from a running back, we need a guy that you can say, you know what? This guy can take it to the house from anywhere on the football field. And that isn't Najee. It's just not. Moving on. Jeff Wilson, A.J. Dillon. The one that I would like is Dillon is only 26. He's going to be 27. But A.J. Dillon can he even play anymore because of the neck injury? So he says he wants to play. Well, great. I'm glad you say you want to play, but has a doctor cleared you to play? And then Nick Chubb, hell no. Javonte, this running back list, like there's nobody on here that the Steelers would want to be their starter. Nobody. There's nobody on this list that you're just saying, oh yeah, we got to have this guy. It's horrible. The draft is where the Steelers got to get a running back. The draft. And there's going to be a ton of people that think that Jaylen Warren is not an every down back, people. He's just not. I love Warren. I love what he brings to the table. But if you think that Jaylen Warren is a 25 or 22 to 28 touch a game guy, he isn't. We've seen it. As he gets more touches, he gets worn down. His explosiveness goes away. His effectiveness goes away. He's a 12 to 15 touch a game guy. That's what Jaylen Warren is. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But Najee, no. No. Javonte Williams, no. Not as a starter. That's not what we need, man. That's just not what we need. We need somebody that can take it to the – do we need – and in the draft, there's some guys that are bigger but have some speed. Steelers just need to go that route. That's all. We just need to go that route. Let's move on. I would say fullback, but the Steelers, for some reason, just don't want to do fullback. I'm trying to figure out why. But let's go to wide receiver. Let's look at wide receiver. Stephon Diggs, T. Higgins. Stephon Diggs coming off an ACL, and he's older. He's going to want a ton of money. Everybody all over Pittsburgh Steeler Nation is saying we need T. Higgins. I couldn't disagree more on T. Higgins. I couldn't disagree more on why the Steelers. It's not that T. Higgins isn't good. He is very good. But if you're trying to tell me that a guy, first of all, T. Higgins is going to miss 6 games a year. That's going to happen. T. Higgins is going to miss 6 games every single year. But you look at it, average salary, $31 million a year. Is that what we're wanting to do? Pay T. Higgins $31 million a year to miss 6 games? Come on. Not to mention, do we want to do that? And we don't even know if T. Higgins is that good without Jamar Chase playing next to him. I'm just throwing out facts. Not trying to be rude. Throwing out facts. There it is. Darius Slayton. Cheaper. I've been screaming. I wanted the Steelers to trade for Darius Slayton last year. I wanted that last year, and they didn't do it. I was screaming for them to take Darius Slayton. Screaming for it. And they didn't. He would be cheaper. He's a good route runner. And he's fast. And he's not a slot guy. We got slot guys. Darius Slayton would be the ideal situation for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Are you going to have to overpay for him? Yes, you are. But everybody overpays in free agency. That's what free agency is. You overpay. So I like Darius Slayton. But you look at this list of wide receivers like Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper would be fine, but is Amari Cooper going to sign in Pittsburgh? Probably not. We don't want Keenan Allen. Chris Godwin would be fine. He's going to command too much money, and he's got an injury history. So, Dante Jackson, or Deontay Johnson, excuse me. Deontay Johnson. Are you all surprised as I am that anybody's even talking about Deontay Johnson still being in the league? Like, he was on 4 teams last year. 4. Steelers didn't want him. We traded him to Carolina. Carolina said, yeah, he's fine, but he's not in our future. Let's get rid of him. He goes to Baltimore, has an attitude, won't go in the game, quit on him. So Baltimore's like, yep, get him out of here. They just cut him. Goes to the Texans, catches a pass in a playoff game. Oh, they're not using me enough. They say, we don't need this headache. Cut him again. And then Baltimore claims him, having absolutely no intention of bringing him back. They just want a compensatory pick in case somebody signs him in free agency. Lord have mercy. So, and Clarence, you're right. Higgins wouldn't sign here either. No quarterback. The offense. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like you look at this wide receiver list, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I like the Slayton. Let's look at Slayton's market value. You open that up, it's high. Basically $23 million is his average salary. But you look at the comparable players. See, you could get that down because although Calvin Ridley had a bad year, Slayton's not Calvin Ridley, Higgins, McLaurin, or Pittman. He's not as good as those guys. He's not. So this number might be a little bit inflated because I don't think there's a whole bunch of people out there that are going to be running around to try to pay Darius Slayton $23 million a year. I could be wrong, but I don't see that. I don't see that at all. Let's move on. I know we don't need a tight end. Let's look at the offensive line. Zach Martin is too old. Cam Robinson wouldn't be horrible as a left tackle. I know everybody's saying, no, we got Broderick. Hey, man, Cam Robinson wouldn't be horrible. And his market value, 4 years, $25 million for a proven left tackle. Are we going to just blow our nose at that? I don't think we should. I really don't. I like him. Will the Steelers pull that trigger and move either Broderick or Faetanu inside? I think the better chance is moving Broderick inside. Will they do that? So, Brandon Sharif, Joseph Noteboom. Yeah, he's not going anywhere. Ryan Kelly at center. I think we just need either left tackle or guard. Tyron Smith, nope. Nope. Let me see if they break this down. There we go. Let's look at guard. I don't know, man. James Daniels is the guy. I mean, he was playing good with the Steelers until he got hurt. And I feel like we could sign him now. They talk about James Daniels' market value here. 3 years, averaging $6 million. If the Steelers could pull that off and get James Daniels for $6 million, call it $7 million, they should do that in a heartbeat. I don't even know if you need to do a 3-year deal. You could say 1 year for James Daniels, and then if he's playing well mid-year, say, you know what? We're going to re-up you and pay him some good money. Because, again, James Daniels is only 27 years old. Got to keep that in mind. They don't have Trey Smith on here, and I'm not sure why. Trey Smith from the Chiefs. The thing about Trey Smith is I think the Chiefs are going to find a way to keep him because you know how they'll renegotiate. They'll do whatever they need to do. But I think the Chiefs are going to end up keeping Trey Smith. But if they don't, the Steelers should throw every single dollar that they could possibly lend to throw at Trey Smith and get him as your right guard. 4 years, whatever he wants. $20 million a year, fine. And figure out a way. Now, let's look at another position of need. Let's look at defensive line. DeMarcus Lawrence. Josh Sweat. Matter of fact, let's just look at defensive tackle because that's what the Steelers need. They need a defensive tackle. And I know that we run a 3-4, so it's tricky with defensive tackle and defensive end. But first off, we need a nose tackle. B.J. Hill. I wouldn't want him. DJ Jones. I think the Steelers are better off. Now, for purposes of depth, there's a few of these guys in here that you would want for some depth. You know, Javon Kinlaw, Austin Johnson, some of these guys, depth pieces. But let's get younger. Let's forget about Johnson. Let's look at Gaines. Again, a lot of depth pieces that the Steelers need in free agency. So there's some stuff here. We got to fill some gaps. But the Steelers got to get younger on the D-line. Now, granted, you're going to think the first thing is we got to draft some guys. We do. We absolutely do. I don't think the Steelers should go without, in the second round, they shouldn't go past the second round without addressing the defensive line needs. I don't think they can do that. I really don't. I think they've got to address it because Larry O is not going to be there. He's not going to be around, and he shouldn't be around. Paying him that kind of money, he shouldn't be around. Leal, he got hurt this year, but he was out of position. DeMarvin Leal is a 4-3 defensive end. We play a 3-4. He doesn't have a position with the Steelers, unfortunately. They drafted him trying to fit him in somewhere, and it just didn't work. It just didn't work. You don't want Loudermilk, Dean Lowry. Those guys didn't work. So we got to retool it. So there's going to be some lower end depth pieces, but as far as trying to get a nose tackle, yeah, we've got to do that immediately. We've got to address that kind of stuff. Now, the last one that we're going to look at is cornerback. DJ Reed is right there. Now, I know fans are going to scream and say, why are we spending money on the defense? Well, you can't just ignore defense altogether. And for the most part, I think people understand that we can't just ignore it. You got to spend the money on certain places. You just can't spend all of it on the defensive side like the Steelers did. You can't put all the money and outspend your offense by $100 million. That's crazy. Crazy. So you can't do that. But look at DJ Reed, his market value. $14 million a year for him. 1 year, $14 million. First of all, I think DJ Reed can get more than that. But that's what I would look at. Up at the top, you see market value. It says 4 years, $58 million, $14 a year. I'd do it. If we could get him for that, the Steelers are doing fine. Charvarius Ward is good as well. I wouldn't mind having him. But there's some guys on here. Okudah is the guy the Steelers have to stay away from. Got to stay away from him. Hasn't been good at any of the stops that he's been at. Hasn't been good. Was a high draft pick. They got rid of him early because he couldn't play. Has bounced around a little bit. Steelers got to stay as far away from him as possible. Stephon Gilmore is a no. Mike Hilton, we don't need him anymore. Dante Jackson, I think if the Steelers wanted to bring back Dante Jackson, I wouldn't be mad, but I want some competition for his job, some real competition for his job. Like if they brought him back on a 1-year deal, I'd be okay with that, but I want some real comp. Like draft the guy earlier than later that say, hey, you got to go win the job. We're not giving you this job, Dante. Yes, we'll sign you back, but we're not going to give you this starting job. You got to go earn it. And even then, I would be more inclined to play the young guy over him. We saw him. We've seen him. And while he had some moments last year, was it good enough? I don't think so. So there's some guys here that the Steelers can get. Christian Fulton would be somebody, 26. I like him. We'll see. But there's some names. Tre'Davious White, another one that people will think, well, man, he was good. Yeah, but, his knees are shot, which is unfortunate, but his knees are shot. Was really good when he was healthy, and that's just not the case anymore. Got to stay away from that guy. But there's some free agents on here that the Steelers can take a chance. Again, more depth, but bring in somebody. If you're going to pay somebody, then okay, I'd be fine. But let's get up in the top of this Again, stay away from Jeff Okudah. Got to stay away from him. Lord have mercy. But other than that, the cornerback is something that needs to be addressed. It's something that needs to be addressed, and not a lot of people are saying that or talking about it. Not talking about it enough, I should say. So not talking about it enough. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's move on. So the 2025 roster prediction. Okay. So when I say something like that, is who do I think that is what it's going to look like right as of now? What are the Steelers going to do? And we'll break it down by position. You guys get in the chat and tell me where you agree and disagree. So, first off, at quarterback. Personally, I think that the Steelers quarterback for next year is not on this roster. That's what I believe. Having said all of that, I'm not going to give myself an out. And, we're on here talking, so I'm going to put a name in here. And for now, I'm going to say the Steelers have Justin Fields as their quarterback. But if once we get into this a little bit further, look, we haven't even had the Super Bowl yet. Once we start digging into this a little bit further, I honestly believe that the Steelers, that on their roster, I don't think the quarterback's on the roster right now. I'm not going to say the Steelers aren't going to start a rookie next year. But as of right now, I'm going to say it's Justin Fields. It's Justin Fields. At running back, let's move to running back. Jaylen Warren, and then a rookie. A rookie. I mean, the Steelers have to address running back. In my first mock draft, I didn't even have running back being somebody that the Steelers – that I didn't even have running back being taken. The Steelers aren't going to get past the third or fourth round without taking a running back. Now, I also have heard some crazy talk. Oh, the Steelers got to take a running back in the first round. Are you insane? As deep as this running back draft is, why would you, and all the needs that the Steelers have, tell me again why you would have a running back in your first round. We're not going to do that. But Warren and a rookie, and maybe they split carries, depending on who it is. I'm still not sold on the kid out of Iowa. I'm not. I know a lot of Steeler fans want him. I don't. He's a one-cut downhill guy. I still don't think he's not good laterally, but I don't know. I just don't like it. I just don't like it. There's other guys that I think would fit what we're trying to do a little bit better, but who knows, man? Who knows? But that's where I think the Steelers will be when it comes time for as far as a running back. Now, as far as wide receivers, I don't think the Steelers are going to trade George Pickens. I don't. George Pickens clearly was the best offensive player that the Steelers had. I don't think there's any ifs, ands, or buts about that. And I believe they're going to say, look, George, we got you for 2 more years. Actually, technically, the Steelers got him for 3 more years if they wanted to franchise him twice. But for 2 more years for sure, if you want to play in the National Football League, you're going to play for Pittsburgh. And you can dog it if you want to. You're only going to be costing yourself money. So if I don't think the Steelers trade him, give him more opportunities, and maybe George is fine. I think that has to be part of this. Give him more opportunities. Get him the ball in space on different routes. If we do that kind of stuff, I think we're going to be fine. But as far as trading him, a lot of people may want to do that. Hell, I've even said trade him. I don't think that's happening. Super chat here from our man Vaughn. What do you think about drafting Ashton Jeanty from Boise in the 3rd or 4th round? There is no chance that Jeanty's going to be around in the 3rd or 4th round. If he was, then yes, I would say absolutely. But there is a 0 possibility that he will still be there in the 3rd or 4th. He won't be there in the 2nd round. Somebody's going to take him in the 1st round. Maybe the Cowboys at 12. But somebody will take him. And I'm not saying it would be a bad pick for them. For the Steelers, it's a bad pick because the Steelers have other holes that need to be addressed before they address running back. It's not that the Steelers don't need to address it, but the draft is deep in running backs. Somebody brought up Devin Neal. Absolutely, Adam. Devin Neal, Ollie Gordon. There's a ton of guys that will be available in the third or fourth round that will be good running backs in the National Football League. So, but no, Jeanty won't be around. Appreciate the support, though, and love the question, but he won't be there. But as far as receivers, we got Pickens, we got Calvin Austin, and then definitely we're going to have a draft pick and a free agent. And whoever that free agent happens to be, I don't know. I'd love it to be Darius Slayton. But then trying to pick your fourth and fifth wide receiver gets dicey because you don't know who's going to be signed, who's going to do that. But as far as right there, we got Pickens, we got Austin, we got a draft pick and a free agent. Because Van Jefferson's not coming back, Skoranek. Maybe those guys come back. Maybe they don't. Who knows? And we also got Roman Wilson. We can't forget about him. I think Roman Wilson is going to be in the mix if he can play, if he can play. But we'll see. Hampton in the second round, I don't think Hampton is going to be there when the Steelers pick. But I do like him. He's a running back out of North Carolina. If you haven't seen him, people, you need to pay attention. You need to pay attention. I don't think he'll be there when the Steelers pick in the second round, but that's a running back. If he was there, that's the only guy because I believe he's better than Jeanty. I really do, because he can do more. And I think if he's in there in the second round when the Steelers pick, then the Steelers got to jump on that. Other than him, we got to wait till the third or fourth round, because that's who I'll bring this up. I believe that's who's the best running back in the draft. Yep. That's who I believe. Omarion Hampton. That's who I believe is the best back in the draft. I really do. So, have to trade up to get him? Probably. You're probably right. But then it becomes silly. You're not trading up in the draft to take a running back, especially when the draft is this deep. You're not going to trade up to do that. If you do, you're killing yourselves. At tight end, as far as the roster next year, we're going to have Muth, and we're going to have Darnell Washington. I know they're probably going to have Connor Hayward. Are you guys done with Connor Hayward? I'm done with Connor Hayward. I am completely out on him. He's not a good blocker. He's a below average receiver. They try to use him as a fullback, or as an H-back, lead blocking, blocking back on counter plays to block defensive ends, which he doesn't do. I'm sorry. Nepotism, which I guess technically it's not because Cam isn't in charge, but I don't know. I'm out on Connor Hayward. And it's not that I don't like him. I just don't think he's that good of a football player. He doesn't help us. That's the thing. He just doesn't help us. So besides that, I don't know. Maybe they'll bring back Pruitt. I doubt it. But we'll see. We will see. I wouldn't mind if the Steelers went out and drafted another tight end, fifth or sixth round. I wouldn't be disappointed. But we've got our tight ends right now. As far as the offensive line, we got Faetanu coming back. Okay. And we know we have Zach Frazier. Okay. Now, and then they're not going to do anything unless they trade Ciamalo like he's a draft day trade, which I wouldn't be disappointed if the Steelers made a draft day trade, got a fourth or fifth rounder for Ciamalo. Now, ideally, I'd like to re-sign him because I think he's good and he's not old. But I don't think that's going to be in the cards for the Steelers. So I would say we have Isaac as well. Then, we're going to have Broderick. I don't know why I'm trying to push this off. We're going to have Broderick. He's going to be on the team. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And then lastly is, what do we do? I I don't know. McCormick is there. Obviously, he'll be on the team. And then a free agent will have some more depth. I would go ahead and pencil in McCormick at right guard, but I think he's going to have some fierce competition because I think the Steelers got to go get them, got to go overpay for a guard. So that's what I think. They got to overpay for a guard. So, but we'll see. We'll see. Then as far as the defensive line, and D-line, I'm going to include the outside linebackers. Look, we've talked about this before as far as Alex Highsmith being a trade bait. I think he's still trade bait if the Steelers are trying to do it right. But as of today, I would have Watt and Highsmith, Herbig, Cam, and Benton. Then what? Okay, because Adams isn't going to be there. Larry O's not going to be there. That's why I say we got to rebuild this thing. You know, we need interior offensive linemen. We run a 3-4 scheme. We need a nose tackle because Keanu Benton is not a nose tackle. We've seen enough to know that his position is not nose tackle. He's got to be a 3-4 defensive end. Okay, go find a nose tackle. There's plenty of them in this draft. Guys that can do it. So go out there and get you one. Go get you a difference maker. Go get you a difference maker. And I know, again, people are going to hate that the Steelers are this high in the draft. They're going defense versus offense. Hey, man, sometimes it's about what you need. And we saw with the Steelers. Obviously, the Steelers need a wide receiver. We know that. I mean, that goes without saying. However, we couldn't stop the run when we needed to stop the run last year. We just couldn't do it. You got to have big people to be able to do that. And get big people early in the draft. You don't want to have to hope that a 5th-round draft pick can get it done for you in the playoffs when you need to get it done. Sorry, doesn't work that way. Got to go get big people. Larry O's not going to be there, man. They're going to cut Larry O. There's not a chance that he's on the Steelers roster next year. Not a chance that they're going to pay that kind of money for his production. It's zero chance. So, zero chance. No, and you're exactly right. We can't miss on the D tackle this year. Can't miss on the deep tackle. So, let's see. Patrick Queen to the Pro Bowl means he stays. No, just because you're the 17th alternate on the Pro Bowl doesn't mean that you stay. That's not how what means. Do I think that Patrick Queen is going to be there? Probably. But that doesn't mean just because he was the 100th selection, the 100th alternate to the Pro Bowl, that doesn't mean he's staying. So let's move on, man. Let's move on. Linebackers. We just talked about it. Patrick Queen will probably be on the Steelers team next year. I don't like it. I'll be quite honest with you. I don't like it, but he's going to be on the team. I think they re-sign E-Rob, which they're going to need to re-sign E-Rob and Peyton Wilson. People talking about Holcomb. Holcomb's not going to be back. Holcomb's going to be a cap casualty. I'm just glad the man can walk after the severity of his knee injury. I'm just glad he can just walk and run, much less play football. So good for him, but he's not going to be a part of the Steelers moving forward from that. So let's see. Cornerback, JPJ. And if we're all being honest, we know that JPJ is not a lockdown, shutdown corner. He is not that guy. At least he didn't show it this year. I think he had a better rookie year than he did second year, in my opinion. And I don't even think that's really – I mean, Steeler fans, we watched. We watched the games this year. You know that he played better as a rookie than he did this past year. And it is what it is. It is what it is. I like him. But to say, oh, he's a lockdown corner, no, not yet. Not yet. So, but he'll be there. Who else? Beanie Bishop. He should be back. Corey Trice. Maybe. We saw Corey Trice. It didn't look great. Didn't look great. But I think the Steelers are going to get at least 2 guys in free agency to come in. One to be a starter and one as a depth piece. And they're going to draft a guy as well. Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's what it looks like at the cornerback position. It'll be difficult. It'll be difficult. Let's go to what Justin Watson man says. If they take a D tackle the first round to continue playing nickel versus jumbo personnel, okay. Justin, man, again, brother, they did that once. It didn't happen every single game. I know your hate Tomlin narrative is what you talk about. I get it, man, and you're not wrong. But the article you keep bringing up narrated one game where this happened. This didn't happen all season long. It just didn't. It just didn't. And you can't just keep saying it and say it into existence. That's not the case. It's not. It happened in a game. We get it. Should it have happened? No. But to just throw this narrative out there, come on, man. It's not true. It's just not. We need a dog at middle linebacker. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We absolutely do. We absolutely do. So, and the interior of the offense of the D line was a big reason that the linebackers look so bad. You're not wrong about that either. You're absolutely not wrong. So, absolutely not wrong. So, but we'll see. We will see. As far as safeties go, I mean, Elliott and Minkah are going to be back, but you know how I feel about Minkah. Can't pay a guy $18 million to do what he does. I'm sorry. That doesn't work at any level for any reason whatsoever. 18 million bucks for that level of play is just, and you can say he's doing exactly what they say. I get it. So I get it. But he's doing what they're asking, but they're not asking enough, and it's not good enough, quite frankly. Oh, and by the way, I'll also throw this out there. What other team is paying a safety $18 million? Like, and if you're trying to tell me that Minkah's the best safety in the league, you're wrong. He's not. But you're not paying him $18 million to do what he does. You're just not doing that. So, you're just not. So, that's the whole thing, is you're just not going to do that, no matter what. But either way, he'll probably be back, and we'll be overpaying, and it will make me sick. It literally will make me sick. But whatever. KZ, you could bring KZ back. But what they do at the other safety spots, I mean, I would say if you bring KZ back on a 1-year deal, you could do that. That would be fine. And then it's going to be picking up people, after the fact. So as far as the whole filling in pieces. Because again, remember, this past year, Killebrew was 10th, I believe. Miles Killebrew, who technically plays safety, but I can tell you this, if Miles Killebrew's in the game and the Steelers are playing on defense and he's in the game, we got a whole bunch of people hurt and we're in trouble because that is not his thing. That is not his thing. So, and he was, by the way, made the 10th most money of anybody on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Miles Killebrew. Yikes. So, again, just giving you guys a little bit on what I think the roster is going to look like as of now. As of right now. If you have to hold me down, put a gun to my head and tell me what's the roster going to look like, this is what I would say. This is where I would go. Do I like it? No, I don't. I don't like it. However, this is where we're at. I think free agency is going to tell us a lot. Free agency is going to tell us a lot. We got a lot of stuff to do in free agency where we can go. So I appreciate everybody being in here today, man. We got a live tonight. We got a Steelers season rewind coming up tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 Central. Make sure you guys are there. We got Nick Farbaugh from Penn Live, Jason Jacobs, from Mike Drop Sports. He's going to be on with us. We're going to break down the season in review and what the Steelers need to do moving forward versus just hearing it from me. We thought we'd bring some other people on and hear from them too. So I appreciate all of you guys that have shown up today. We're going to start doing this, like I said, Monday evening and Thursday morning, just kind of break it up a little bit. So I appreciate the support. Thanks, everybody. Make sure if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. And also sign up to become a member, like I mentioned. Memberships are out and available. The content, you're going to really like it. So appreciate you guys, and aloha.